Hello and welcome to another NUFC Fans Forum. My name is Adam and I'm joined by Ross. And you meet us on a momentous occasion today, as for only the third time in our living memory, Newcastle United have sold their number 9 to another football club. Ross, how do you feel about the departure of Papiss Cisse?
Happy and sad, to be quite honest.
Happy and sad.
Happy because it frees up wages for a more exciting player to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And sad because I thought Cisse would have got goals in the Championship if he had stayed.
Yeah, it's obviously still only 31 years of age, not a massive hurdle at that sort of level, but quite injury prone. Do you see him being one of those sort of players that Rafa could potentially have got a lot more out of?
If he played him with a partner, yeah, of course. I think any manager would get more from playing with a partner. I think Cisse was hard done by Pardew for many years by being played on his lonesome up front, which is just not his game.
Well, we'll start at the beginning with Papiss Cisse. Obviously, you arrived, was it £10 million, I think, from Freiburg? And to say had an immediate impact would be possibly a huge understatement. 13 goals in the 14 games he played at the end of that season. How did his arrival compare to new signings we make? What was your initial opinion?
In terms of an impact signing, it's the best we ever made.
The best ever, you'd say?
In terms of an immediate impact, starting from zero, just to 100 miles an hour in no time.
Good impact, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
When he arrived, he was part of that very exciting 4-3-3 Alan Pardew played with them. Well, slightly unhappy on the left, hadn't been off having time of his life on the right, and Cisse through the middle. Obviously, the following season, we never really returned to that. He was constant juggling act, trying to accommodate various systems and various players. And the next season, he dropped to something like 8 goals in 36 games, which is obviously a huge anticlimax. What do you put that immediate slide in form down to?
The style of football he played, because that 12-13 season, Mike Williamson would get the ball, he'd hoof it as far as he could, and then Cisse had to try and do something with him. He didn't even know he was quite a tall fella, Cisse. He wasn't the most. He's not a Mitrovic, for example. He can't chest it down, play it off somebody.
I was at a lot of those games, and it did appear so obvious that the system didn't work for him. He was essentially playing as like a lone target man, despite not being the biggest. Didn't have the kind of players around him who were going to help that much. Have you got any kind of idea why on earth that would have been persisted with for what was nearly 2 seasons?
Because Alan Pardew was a stubborn man.
A stubborn man.
That is
the
only reason you could come up with. It was so obvious that Cisse needed a partner. He was literally there just to put the ball in the back of the net. His build-up play was shocking. Like, his technical football ability wasn't there. But he was always liable to get that goal, wasn't he? Just when we needed it, which he did. Which saved us that season, of course, with a run of 90-minute victories.
That run of 3 games, we had a 92nd minute goal against Stoke, which won the game. I vaguely remember, everybody was so knackered at that point. Marvo was sat on the floor at the edge of the box, where everyone was waiting for the whistle and he scored. There was the Angie Europa League game, where he scored the 94th minute. I was actually stood up leaving at that point. We completely missed the goal.
Never leave before full time. Never, not even 6-0 down at home to Liverpool, sorry. 3-0 down to the Magnums. You stay there, you tough it out.
I went to the pub, sorry, better things to do.
Shocking.
But of course, most iconically, that late Fulham goal, we ran into the crowd and some guy, I think it was just some guy, got a photo of him jumping over the barrier. That's probably the only iconic moment from that season, so bad as it was.
Yeah.
He was obviously still capable of getting these goals, and still capable of doing things, but he went from looking like one of the most deadly finishers in Europe in those initial 6 months to a very hit and miss in the box poacher. Is all the blame for that down to Pardew?
It's got to be because that 11-12 season when we finished 5th, he had 2 or 3 partners up with him at all times, and then a few months later, the 12-13 season, he was on his own. Demba Ba then left in the January, didn't he? And it was just him, and then a massive gap, and then Cabine and Ida, and then a bigger gap, and then Mike Williamson, and the ball would just bypass everybody. As you say, he just couldn't deal with it.
I went for probably an entire 2.5 seasons where the only other striker we really brought in to any extent was Laurent Remy on loan.
I mean, that was an alright buy, wasn't it?
That was an alright buy, and Cisse did seem to. I don't think he probably scored a lot more goals, but he looked a lot more happier in the position.
We never played, did he, when Laurent Remy was here? Do you remember when we beat Stoke 5-1? And he was on the pitch for some reason, Cisse.
They gave him the penalty.
We got the penalty, and then they were just like, oh, go on, just give it to Papiss. He's been on his bottom lips going a bit here, just give him a nice little confidence booster. Still in the top corner.
I was right behind that goal. I was actually fuming because I had Johan Kabay as my captain in fantasy football that week, and he was on 2 goals already. And they gave the penalty to Cisse. I was furious. Good hit.
Nice though, wasn't it?
Good in that. over his entire time at Newcastle, from the initial impact to, I think he only registered 2 goals last season. Although one of them again was that one against Liverpool, almost proved to be quite important. His last appearance was the 0-0 against Villa. I don't even remember. I've looked at it. I don't even remember being in that game.
I just remember Mitrovic's miss. They tried to dink it over.
Mitrovic.
Yeah.
More like. In his 4 years, I think I'm saying 4 years at the club, he's come out with a goal in about one every 3 games.
I mean, for the sort of team he was playing in, it's an alright record, isn't it?
I don't think that's too...
I mean, obviously, when you watch him every game, there's the endless frustration with Cisse. I mean, he was born offside, wasn't he?
He was.
So you just got to get past that and just think, look at the squads we had through those years, and he was largely, apart from Luke Remy, and the 6 months with Demba, or the year with Demba Bar, he's the only man in those squads that could have scored a goal.
No, I completely agree. I think he gets a lot.
I mean, the 14-15 season, what did he get? Was it 12 or 14?
Yeah.
Kept up the game.
Well, again,
his contribution can't underestimate it, can it, really?
I think people take the frustrations as, obviously, he arrived and he set such a high standard for himself. Bar him going on to be one of Europe's greatest centre forwards, there's no way he was ever quite going to live up to that. I think it does kind of warp the perception of him slightly. But comparing his overall goal record to that 1 in every 3 statistic to other players who've won the number 9, just off the top of your head, how would you think that compares to the rest of them?
Well, the man that immediately pops in my mind is Leslie Ferdinand. Imagine his
Ferdinand.
Goals to game ratio was a lot better.
He had 1 in every game and a half, Les Ferdinand.
I know Shola was 1 in every 5, wasn't he?
1 every 6, Shola. He's got almost an identical goals to game record as Obafemi Martins.
Again, a player who was hit and miss, wasn't
he?
He was a bit... Was the system against him when Kevin Keegan... He was on the left, wasn't he, for Kevin Keegan?
He played absolutely everywhere, I see remember.
But I suppose you could compare the two of them.
Yeah, it's obviously the goal record's obviously the most comparable element, but they were sort of brought into a squad. They were dragged around, being relied on for goals when they weren't either necessarily equipped or being played right to get them. Ultimately ended with their departure a few weeks after a relegation. So I mean, the parallels are there.
Lovely. Look, apart from the episode with the young wife that got brought up while he was in Newcastle.
Oh, yes.
Just apart from that, he seemed like a lovely fellow, though, didn't he?
Well, the few interviews I've seen of him, he's always one of the most smiley footballers I've ever seen. He did that very famous interview where he just talked about how he likes to run, and it makes him happy because football's a ridiculous job to have, which I thought fair play to him. But there was the small incident of the 7-game ban for spitting on another footballer. But
6 of 1 half, isn't it? Wasn't it?
It was, yes. Was it Johnny Evans?
Someone United said
I think it was Johnny Evans.
One of the two. Well, Chris Smalling, maybe, was it?
Is it Smalling?
Who knows?
Well, they shouldn't let that talk.
To be fair, for the Euros, I wouldn't be adverse to spitting at Chris Smalling.
Now, Ross, this is an entire other topic of you being in France. Compares pretty well with equally with Martins, much better than Shola. Obviously, nowhere near as good as Ferdinand or Cole or Shearer was 1 and 2. Fairly similar to Andy Carroll as well. Andy Carroll was just about the 1 in every 3 mark. Do you think the long periods Cisse has gone without a good run of form in front of goal? I think that's actually quite a surprising statistic, I thought. I mean, if you think about the season before last, I think he must have got about 20 or 30 appearances coming up. He only scored a handful of goals. Really does go to show that when he was running hot, he was running so hot. And likewise, when he was running cold, it was very, very cold. What is your what's your most defining memory of Cisse?
Chelsea for me.
Chelsea.
The goal.
Yes. He liked a goal against Chelsea.
Yeah, well, he defied the laws of physics, didn't he, somehow? Despite coming across a bit of a simple man. Just because of all the smiling. Yeah. He somehow wrapped his foot around that ball and did that with it, which has never been seen before or since.
Now, I don't wish to disparage what is possibly the best goal I'll ever see as a Newcastle fan. However, I do feel 2 things worked to his advantage there. One, the fact that he was right in front of the camera, so that any shot looking down the camera is amazing. And also, that I've always looked at that and thought, I don't get how the goalkeeper was beaten there. He's on his line.
What's the last thing you're expecting there if you're a keeper, though? A
shot? Yes, fair enough, caught by surprise.
Nobody in the box. He's facing out the byline.
He is.
And he's just gone like that with his right foot, not left, remember? So the last thing you're expecting is a shot.
Actually, I think the goal he scored before that is worthy of as much
He
admiration.
flicked it up for himself.
Yes, I thought that was. I thought, I'm not seeing a better goal than that this season,
and then you did,
and then I did. Which was Papiss Cisse.
Aye.
What about any of his other goals for Chelsea? The one most vivid one I have in my mind is last season.
When was that? I can't remember.
The Jack Colback show. Colback just decided to play Chelsea on his own. He put Cisse through.
Oh, right.
So crossed it for him. Chelsea hadn't been beaten all season. Mourinho still never won at St James's. I was sitting not far from where he ran past and celebrated. And it made you remember, God, he is actually quite a good centre forward.
That's what I mean. It's just one of those ones that could score a goal when we needed him to, which is ultimately what you want. He'd be remembered a lot more positively than negatively for me. Easy for me.
Do you think maybe that the last few months he did get Benitez did persist with him, gave him a good run in the first team. He was free of injury. Could he have done a bit more? I mean, we'll go back to the late goals in that other season, which actually, if you look at the points they accrued for us, he probably did single-handedly keep us up.
Yeah,
twice. But when you say that,
especially when Mitrovic finally came in to score a bit of a goal-scoring form, didn't he? He didn't really deserve to keep his place in that team, but he did. But it was working though, wasn't it? Because he was doing the first sort of hour, and then Mitrovic would come on and score. He didn't win enough points, but
you would have attached no blame to him for our ultimate demise.
No, I mean, he ran around a lot, didn't he? Wouldn't it be?
Gouffran runs around.
Being that, Gouffran's just a waste of oxygen. It was a noticeable difference under McLaren for me. Like the effort he was putting in, it was a lot more noticeable what he was doing, like when he was running around and the titles he was putting in. But he was scoring less goals though, so it depends what you want, doesn't it? Bit of blood and thunder on goals.
The big question, I suppose, he has worn the famous number 9 shirt as much, because we're Geordies and we're like the passion in the number 9 shirt's dead famous. Where's his legacy going to lie for that shirt?
In terms of a pecking order?
If you would be so good, Ross, to give me a pecking order, where would you place Papiss Cisse in that?
Well, he's quite low down, isn't he? In terms of the Premier League number 9s. Let's not forget Millwall and that, but football started in 1992, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, it did. Obviously, Cole, Shearer, Ferdinand.
In that order?
Immediately, Shearer, Cole, Ferdinand. And I bet just miles ahead of him. But then you look at Carroll, obviously the goal records are the same. Oh, like, funny enough, if Carroll played in that 12-13 team, I think he would have scored a lot more goals because he likes being
Well, such was Alan Pardew's constant erection for every time Andy Carroll could be brought up in a press conference.
We're going to buy him, aren't we?
No, I think with Pardew's departure, so too goes Andy Carroll back to Newcastle.
Good. Too injury prone. Anyway, as I say, more positive than negative for Cisse for me.
So would you say he... I'd struggle to use the word deserve, but would you say he was a better occupant of the number 9 shirt than Andy Carroll, for example?
We know, because Carroll's a Geordie and he knows what he's playing for. And I just think the number 9 needs to be retired for a few seasons until we'll get back up to a level where someone can shoulder the responsibility.
Well, this brings me nicely on to my next question. Anybody of the current crop of footballers, no names, do you think who could take over that number 9 shirt?
In the squad now?
Yes.
No.
No?
No.
Not Mitrovic?
No.
Not Dwight Gale?
No.
Not Adam Armstrong?
Might be in a couple of years, you never know. If he gets a Carroll-esque championship season under his belt and then keeps going and actually stays instead of going to Liverpool for 30 minutes.
Is there anybody out there at the moment who you think would be a reasonable buy?
Who are we going to get, though?
Well, Berbatov.
He's a Newcastle fan, isn't he?
Born and bred.
I like the story behind that.
So do I.
I'd like Shearer. Shearer was number 9. Give him one.
Alan Shearer in pyjamas for Dimitar Berbatov, the story goes.
As we all did.
As we all did. I had Peter Beardsley pyjamas, actually.
I don't think I had Newcastle.
Can you imagine what it's like when you're young, waking up looking at that face? Anyway, Peter Crouch, perhaps?
Come on now. We're not looking at Peter Crouch, though.
No, but I'd spark that rumour off.
All right. Nah.
You would
I'd put it. Leave it alone. Let someone earn it before they're given it. Like they did with Carroll.
As we did in the last championship season.
Yeah.
Because there was that genuine fear that Marlon Harewood was going to take it at one point.
Marlon Harewood and his dolphin head.
Dolphin head.
Looks like
It
a
was
dolphin.
very slippery, wasn't it?
Dolphin.
Yes. Well, as ever, we like to open up this forum to your questions on Twitter, and we've had a barrage of Cisse-related ponderings. Shelves asks, what do you think caused the decline of Cisse at the club?
Tactics. Alan Pardew. Stubborn old Alan Pardew. We've been through this already.
Liam Patterson asks, what was your favourite Cisse moment, on or off the pitch?
I can't think of a specific moment. It's got to be the Chelsea goal, hasn't
The
it?
Chelsea goal again?
Why not?
I think it's that photograph of him jumping through the crowd full.
It is nice. It's an iconic photo, isn't it?
This is the big one. Michael Loden asks, with Cisse gone, which player will now fill in his role of illegally parking wherever they want in town?
Check Toyota until he leaves.
Check Toyota until he leaves?
Does Check Toyota drive? He was always a famous taxi rider, wasn't he?
I don't know. I don't know him on that much of a personal level.
It's just whenever you saw a picture of him getting out the training ground, he was always in a big taxi, wasn't he?
All right. Well then
Plus he drinks pink champagne in his Range Rover, doesn't he? Toyota.
He's got no respect for common labouring laws.
If he's driving him, if he's not driving,
I think it might be Mitrovic, because I'm not convinced Mitrovic can read, so he wouldn't know what's a parking space and what isn't.
You're a brave man saying that. I know he's watching.
Hit us up, Mitro. Randall Bell, hi Randall, asks, was it right to give him the number 9 shirt in the first place? Oh, that's a good one.
It is, isn't it? Well, is it the most we spent on a striker since Shearer?
No, I think Martin's about 9 million.
Martin's was about the same, wasn't he?
Martin's about 9 million. Demba Ba was on 3. Yeah.
Oh no, Michael Owen, but he was number 10, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, he was a big money signing money. He was 9.5, 10 million. He was straight in the first team. Why not? He proved it was for him straight away, didn't he? But then,
I think if we hadn't given him the number 9 shirt and he'd enjoyed that run of form, there would have been there would have been people clamouring to put it on him.
So then
and then he would have got it. Had that decline, he would have said, "Oh, is the number 9 shirt cursed?" You always see how that planner. The mighty Steve asks, and I think it's a pretty simple, straightforward one: was Papiss Cisse the canniest player we've ever had?
Nice smile, didn't he?
Nice smile, genuinely lovely bloke. Enjoyed a shisha pipe.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Neil Marshall asks, given that overall Cisse proved to be quite an average player, why do you think the fans took to him so much?
Well, like that. He smiled. We just like that sort of player, don't we? I think that's
agree.
Yeah. Just.
I'll go back to that previous question because he was one of the canniest blokes we've ever had.
You tell he's a lovely lad. Apart from the young wife thing.
Apart from
that thing.
And finally, Ross, one question before we finish. Newcastle have their first game of the new season under Rafa Benitez in but a few days' time. What are your predictions for the Bohemians match? Nice kickabout or something we'll be able to read into it?
Wijnaldum will start. Wijnaldum will leave days after, I reckon.
Ooh, bold.
Someone will be there to watch him, then someone will snap up.
Someone from the Airtricity League, perhaps. We must snap up this one away Newcastle.
Is that the Irish League, is it?
The Airtricity League. You could go to Chamois Rovers or Drogheda.
Bohemia? Oh, that's who we're playing.
Yeah.
We'll go there. Because we're going to absolutely hammer them, aren't we?
Ooh, pride before fall, my friend. Pride before fall.
Don't know.
8-0.
They're a bit weird, these friendlies, aren't they? Especially the ones Newcastle play early in the pre-season.
Well, we always look terrible.
You can't read anything until we're back at St James's Park and the game's called off for a waterlogged pitch.
That's true. However, we will be reading into it because content.
Exactly. We wouldn't have a job otherwise.
Correct. And speaking of which, thank you very much for joining us on this second NUFC Fans Forum. Please let us know what you thought about it. As you'll see, I've stopped rocking in the chair as much this week. That's because of your feedback. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I've been Adam, this has been Ross, and we shall see you all soon.